Level 5. 40%. Your hand just left the home row. Again, that small movement, fingers reaching for a number, an arrow, a function key, happens hundreds of times a day. Nobody counts it, but it adds up. And someone decided to eliminate it entirely. A 40% keyboard has roughly 40 keys. No numpad, no function row, no number row, no dedicated arrows. What looks like a keyboard someone forgot to finish is actually a keyboard someone finished too well. The 40% collapses everything into one tight cluster your fingers never have to leave because movement is waste. Here's what nobody tells you. The missing keys aren't gone. They're underneath. Hold a modifier and the letter keys become numbers. Hold another and they become function keys. Closer to a piano than a typewriter. And the muscle memory is real. 3 weeks of genuine suffering to build it. Then it disappears entirely. It fits in a jacket pocket. Your mouse sits where the numpad used to be. Your shoulder stays neutral all day. For programmers who live on the home row, this isn't a compromise. It's where the road was always going. Honest caveat, the learning curve isn't steep. It's a wall. Typing speeds drop 60 to 70% in the first week. Anywhere with real stakes, a presentation, a meeting, a deadline, this keyboard will betray you while you're still learning it. But the 40% assumes you're willing to give up physical arrows entirely. Not everyone is. Someone already built the keyboard for that person. Level 4. 65%. The arrow keys. That's what breaks most people considering a compact keyboard. Not the number row, not the function keys, the arrows. Muscle memory for those runs so deep that losing them doesn't feel like a trade-off. It feels like an amputation. A 65% keeps everything the 40% has, then adds back 2 things, physical arrow keys and a column of navigation keys, delete, page up, page down, home, end, no function row, no number row, still no numpad. Roughly half the footprint of a full size. And for most people, that's enough to make the whole thing feel complete. Here's what most people don't know. The 65% is quietly the most popular form factor in the custom keyboard community. It consistently outsells both the 40% and the 60% in enthusiast group buys. Not because it's the most extreme, but because it's the first size where almost nobody goes back. The function row is what you're giving up. For developers debugging with F5, gamers with F key bindings, anyone who touches brightness or volume without thinking, those become a layer away instead of a key press away. Small friction, daily friction, that compounds. If you press function keys regularly enough that you've never had to think about it, the 75% is the smarter call. Be honest about how often you press F5. Level 3. 75%. The 75% is the point where most people run out of things to miss. A 65% with the function row added back, but compressed. No gap between rows. Everything in one dense block, roughly a centimeter taller. That centimeter is doing a lot of work. That compression sounds claustrophobic. In practice, it's the opposite. Because the function row sits closer to the number row, experienced typists reach it faster. The white space on a full-size keyboard isn't neutral. It's overhead you've been paying every day without ever realizing it. Here's the reframe. The 75% doesn't feel cramped because it is small. It feels unfamiliar because the space you lost was waste you'd grown comfortable with. Those are different problems. One goes away with adjustment. The other never had a solution. For most office workers, students, and programmers, this is where the checklist empties. Keychron, NuFi, and Acco all have strong options here. No group buy waitlist, no boutique price. Honest caveat, muscle memory trained on standard keyboards expects spacing between sections. Most people calibrate within a week or 2. Some never fully do. A few find the compressed layout genuinely doesn't click, and that's a real answer too. The 80% keeps that spacing exactly where your fingers expect it. If you want compact and you're willing to adapt, the 75% wins. If you want to feel at home from hour one, the next level is the safer landing. Level 2, 80%. There's a piece of hardware sitting to the right of your keyboard that's quietly damaging your shoulder. You've never thought about it as a problem. That's the point. The numpad pushes your mouse roughly 15 centimeters further right than it needs to be. Your shoulder rotates. Your wrist extends. Over 8 hours, that accumulates into something your body notices, even when your brain doesn't. The 10 keyless removes it, and nothing else changes. Full function row, full navigation cluster, proper spatial separation, a standard keyboard with its right side cut off cleanly. Here's the number that reframes everything. Numpad usage sits below 5% of total keystrokes for anyone outside of data entry and accounting. The 10 keyless doesn't remove keys you use. It removes keys you only occasionally remember exist. That's not a small distinction. That's the entire argument. No adjustment period. If you can type on a full size, you can type on a TKL from minute one. For most people upgrading from full size, the gain to effort ratio is unmatched. One real exception, accountants and anyone entering long columns of numbers daily. For them, the numpad is a genuine productivity tool. Removing it costs something real. For everyone else, it's dead weight they've stopped noticing. But what if you want every key, every section, every landmark exactly where it's always been? That answer has been sitting at the top of the shelf the entire time. Level 1, 100%. Most people who use a full-size keyboard have never actually chosen one. It came with the computer. It came with the job. It was on the desk when they arrived. 104 keys, full numpad, full function row, full navigation cluster. Every feature physical, labeled, immediately visible. No layers, no modifier combos, no memory required. When someone else sits down, they can use it without a word of explanation. Here's what nobody says out loud. The full size is the default. Not because it's the best answer, but because it's the answer that requires no decision. Most full-size users have never bought a keyboard. They've accepted one. That is a completely different thing. For professions built around the numpad, accounting, finance, data entry, CAD, the full size isn't a compromise. Every key is exactly where they expect it, every time, without a thought. No mental overhead, no layer to remember, no modifier to hold. For those people, that's the entire point. That's not inertia. That's the right tool.